Welcome to the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, the #1 source of urban conservative information in America.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. I trust that you are well this glorious Wednesday morning. Trust that things are going well with you where you are. Hope the weather is, well, like you want it. Here it was 80 degrees yesterday. 80. I'm talking about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Good stuff. Loved it. Looking forward to more today. I think that it's going to be in the 80s again today with a low last night of 59, 69. So we do that. And we're moving closer and closer back to the days of daylight savings time. It's not pitch black at 6 o'clock in the evening. I hate that. I'm of the mind that it shouldn't be dark until about 8 o'clock, 8:30, 8:45. I just love me some sunshine. Love me some sunshine. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to it. I've heard so much about what about Doge and all the stuff that Elon Musk. I didn't elect Elon Musk and all this stuff. I was actually listening to the Will Call Majority. Will Call Majority is, of course, a show where that's on Sirius XM channel 125 Patriot Radio. So if you have that in your car and you haven't gotten it activated, do that. You can get it done for like $6 a month. I am not a sponsor yet. I remember actually when they showed up when there was Sirius Radio and XM applying to maybe get a time slot for the podcast years ago. I'm sure they went, what? Ooh, no. But anyway, and now there is 125 Patriot Radio, Stacey on the right, and many others. Sean Hannity's there, Will Cowell, a bunch of conservative voices on channel 125. So if you've got that activated in your car, or you have the app on your phone or on your computer at home, go ahead and sign on to Sirius XM channel 125. Commercial over. And I learned something that I knew from personal experience, that the worst part about call-in shows, callers, easily, hands down, that's the worst part. And I was listening a little bit to this caller that called Will Cowell and was complaining about Doge, Department of Governmental Efficiency. This is not an official agency in the U.S. government. This is just some of Trump's associates, his friends, that are his advisors on certain things. That's all it is, really. And what this guy couldn't get was the only difference between now and the past is that these lists of presidential advisors, you happen to know. You just know who they are. The president always has a list of advisors, people he goes to for this information or that information, and guidance on certain things that are not in the government, but are in his Rolodex. I'm old. I used the word Rolodex on you, didn't I? Yes. So he always has that. The only difference now is that you know who he is. Before this, the more frightening part is that you know who it is. And they are completely transparent about what they're pointing out. And some of these cuts and let me help you, they're not cuts yet. They're not cuts. The only thing that's happened to U.S. aids is that there's been a 90-day pause, that they're a couple days in. That's it. A 90-day pause. I found this video that I'm going to play. on X. It's a TikTok video, and it is from a young lady who is Ugandan. I guess she claims to be from Uganda, and she has a very, very interesting perspective on U.S. aids and and financial aids to a lot of the countries that a lot of people here are their hair's on fire about. I think you'll find it very interesting.
We have depended on US aid for over 60 years, and the moment the owners of the money say, let's take a 90-day pause that I audit where my money is going, suddenly the whole country goes into a frenzy. And this should be a moment of reflection for Uganda and the African continent in general. We have been asking for a very long time to be liberated from colonialism, neo-colonialism, and now that the opportunity presents itself, for some reason, we are complaining. Because let's get something straight. Often the money given to us in foreign aid is lost to corruption, misuse, depleted and overrated salaries to particular individuals, or sometimes we lose billions of money that are unaccounted for. So it only makes sense that the donor is asking for an edit, and if that means pausing the amount of money coming in, they should. And I do understand the implications of this pause because so many heavily funded healthcare projects run on US aid, but that should be a moment of reflection. This is just a 90-day pause. What would happen if the United States just said, we're not giving you money anymore? And within their rights, they can't do that because it is their money. It's high time Uganda and the African continent got themselves together and actually started looking for systems that are sustainable and not always depend on foreign aid, because we are struggling with debt. On top of that, we have constant aid, which doesn't necessarily help us to have a more independent system. Instead of writing paragraphs of why this is a bad move, we should essentially realize that, we are actually in a bad situation and we cannot always depend on aid because it can go any day. African nations should wake up. Uganda should wake up because this is not even funny.
Wow. I found that I found that it wasn't when I thought it was when I started watching, but I found it very interesting. It's time for, especially for all my folks who are about the African diaspora and how Africa is being basically raped for its minerals and all this stuff. From this young lady who lives there, she sees that it is time for the continent, and particularly the nation of Uganda, to start getting their crap together. Because you can't just keep living off aid. And she said they could shut it off, which they have right to. And this is what we don't realize here. We have right to. We don't have there isn't any ongoing forever responsibility to continue to provide aid to these folks and to never ask what you're doing with the money. I thought about this, and I talked about this on the audio podcast. Here's the deal. If your 15-year-old comes up to you and says, hey, Dad, I need $50. Are you supposed to just, I mean, seriously. And I want to know who does that. Just put it in the comments. They just go and get their wallet out. All right, son, how much you need? 50? Here, take 100. Have a good day. Does anybody do that? No, I know damn well you know. You don't. What you do is go, first of all, you laugh. And second of all, you say this. You say, what do you use it for? Why do you need 50? And you do it for a couple of reasons. You want to know if you give this person $50, where it's going to, why he needs it. Is he in trouble? Is someone threatening to, whip his ass? What's going on? You want to know. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to give it to him. Not necessarily. But you want to find out if you can go buy weed with it, right? That's what you're trying to find out. And you are well within your rights to find out. And you know why? Because it's your money. The United States, the U.S. taxpayer, is well within their right to ask, where's this money going? That we are continuing to bleed when we can see our own citizens in North Carolina, when we can see our own citizens in, you know what, in LA, California, when we can see our own citizens that had a train turnover and they're still not right. We can see the people, you know, in our own citizens who don't have clean drinking water in America, for God's sakes. We can still see that. And then this aid that nobody even wants to talk about exactly where it's going. Yeah, I'm sorry, people on the left, you lose this conversation, you lose this debate. When you can ignore the suffering in your own street, when you can ignore that, and you could be okay with $123,066 going to teach Kyrgyzstan youth how to go viral. Now, I don't know. They've got to, you know, some of these people have some weird things about cats. I'm not sure. Fauci funded COVID experiments using cats. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and the U.S. Department of Agriculture spent $2.24 million on COVID experiments having to do with felines. The Spitting Cats for Science and Motion Sickness. The National Institutes of Health spent $1.5 million on a study to see if to spin cats and kittens on motion sickness. The Department of Defense spent $10 million on some weird Orwellian type cat experiment. $10 million. And in every town, every major city in America, every major city, New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, and every mid-sized city, Tampa, Charlotte, Nashville, Newark, New Jersey, you name it, Phoenix, Dallas, Fort Worth. There are veterans sleeping outside. They may have drug problems, but they have health problems, and they're sleeping outside. And the Department of Defense spent $10 million to experiment on cats. The Department of the Interior spent $720,000 on wetland conservation projects for ducks. Not American ducks, ducks in Mexico. This is the kind of, and what you ought to be upset about it. This is not just that they're doing this, but this is the kind of stuff that they don't even want people to know about. Because if you know about it, you'll be pissed off. And you'll be, all right, Elon, do your thing, man. Get the list. Trump, get your pen. Start saying no to this stuff, right? And that's what they know. The Agency for International Development is spending $20 million on Alid Sisam or a new Sesame Street show. It's a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. $20 million. Yeah, so you're already thinking like I'm thinking. You're thinking there's no way that $20 million is going to do a Iraqi version of Sesame Street. You're absolutely right. It is not. But you have to ask, why are we sending $20 million to anybody in Iraq right now? through USAID. The Department of State spent $253,000 to fight misinformation in Bosnia. Same thing. There's no way that this is true. It went to Bosnia, but it wasn't for this purpose. They do not want you to know. The State Department has allocated $32,000 for breakdancing. This is crap they don't want you to know. They do not want you to know. Now, if you add up all these things I mentioned, plus the ones that I didn't mention, we're talking about less than a rounding error when we start talking about the total budget and start talking about the total monies spent. But what the left knows, the idea, just the idea of any of this stuff actually happening is really what the problem is. And most people will give the green light to anybody who will stop this sort of madness. Absolute madness. When they're being asked, when the American public is being asked to pay more and more for everything. In my house, homeowners insurance went up. In people's houses around me, their electric bill went up. Our fuel bill is up for our vehicles. You name it. And we're stuck now because the interest rates have gone up. So even purchasing a more fuel efficient vehicle, it's now cost prohibitive. Let alone some hybrid or electric thing, right? Which would only make the electric bill go up. I mentioned food is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. And now the left is mad because there may be a possible tax cut. Well, we have to start. Some of y'all got to start using the old bean and trying to figure out why are they like this. It's almost like they want to destroy the country, and it doesn't stop there. This is more USAID stuff because we're hearing a lot about USAID. Let's go through this fairly short list. $50 million to fund condoms. Well, that seems like a good idea. Better safe than sorry. Yeah, but to fund condoms in Gaza. USAID spends $50 million to fund condoms in Gaza. Seems like some ethnic cleansing stuff going on there. Don't want those people to breed. USAID has $50 million in prophylactics and safes and condoms, rubbers. $1.5 million to advance DEI. That's not so surprising. But in Serbian workplaces. $70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland. $47,000 on a transgender opera in Colombia. Oh, they have a $32,000 set aside for a transgender comic in Peru. $37 million, so of course, to the World Health Organization, which we are out of. Cut that crap. $16 million in funding for institutional contractors in gender development offices. We don't even know what the hell that is. $4 million in funding for the Center of Climate Positive Development. What the heck is that? Again, we think that doesn't even exist. There's no way that can't exist. That's got to be some money laundering stuff going on there. Somebody's getting their pocket full. $12 million in support services for the Bureau of Resilience, Environment, and Food Security. Huh? Did you know that was a bureau? No, that's just that's a place where they're taking your money and giving it to their friends. $6 million in non-emergency funding for redundant administrative supports for the Center of Excellence. Non-emergency funding. This is the slush fund. This is their petty cash. $6 million. $3 million in non-emergency funding to provide evaluation services for planning and learning programs. It's $3 million going to somebody for some reason. Oh, and a paltry $600,000, $500,000 to fund technical assistance for families, for family planning in Latin America. Are you kidding me? And here's the deal. They aren't coming back and trying to say, well, this is why we have to do this. They're not, these things are indefensible. You can't defend them. So what they'll do is some ad hominem attack on the people who are looking into this, asking the questions, and start saying, start saying the sky is falling if you cut any of this, if you look into any of this. This is why, my friends, we have to go forward now while we have the opportunity, because we might not have this opportunity again. And it's going to be touchy, and it's going to be ouchy, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be all that stuff. But now is the time. Now is the time to push forward as hard as we can. If we're looking to get the United States financial house in order, this is the time. Do not get distracted with talks of well, tariffs are bad, but yes, two things can be true at the same time. This kind of stuff, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the very tip of the. We just, they just got started. We're just getting started. You can look back at the Festivus list, and we did a video on that, on the Festivus list for 2024. We did a show about that already. And that's Rand Paul's list of government foolishness, like $10 billion spent on maintaining and leasing and furnishing almost entirely empty buildings. This is, a Florida man stole $8 million in COVID relief funds to buy an island. $12 million that the Department of Interior spent on a Las Vegas pickleball complex. $12 million on pickleball. The Department of State wasted $230,000 to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. The Department of Health and Human Services awarded a $2 million grant to study kids looking at Facebook's ads about food. This is one of my favorites. The Department of State spent $108,272 on a non-functioning hotel. Here's some of the details. As part of the Department of State's Global Ambassador Fund for Preservation, what? In 2023, the Bath Hotel in Nevis, a building that hasn't been operated as a hotel for years, with a bathhouse that is boarded up and not in use anymore, received a substantial renovation funded by a grant from the U.S. Embassy. The grant aims to preserve the historical features of the bathhouse and bring the building up to safety standards, putting aside the fact that this grant sends your tax dollars overseas is one big glaring issue. The bathhouse, of course, isn't open for business and hasn't for a long time. Yet U.S. taxpayers still tapped to foot the bill for everything from electrical wiring and plumbing and repairs to roof sealing, all that stuff. The AFCP is known for being highly competitive with cultural organizations from around the world vying for a slice of that limited funding pie while preserving cultural heritage is important. It raises the question, shouldn't we prioritize our own backyard before spending taxpayer dollars abroad on a hotel that doesn't even operate? Here's the kicker. This renovation plan has been gathering dust since 2011. Only now being funded by U.S. taxpayers who have been cast as the unwilling financiers of this folly. It seems we've been patiently waiting for over a decade to throw money into a project that doesn't have a practical end game, which seems to be what we do. It's one more case of our government's misplaced priorities where taxpayers foot the bill for projects that don't serve the public or make economic sense. The bathhouse project is a prime example of why we need to scrutinize where our money goes and demand better. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is published at fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmedia.tv.com. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself and each other. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.